Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a Glock 17 Generation 3 build. Before we get into that, I just want to say if you guys need something specific, if you have issues that you need solutions to, or you're just looking for a specific build or a how-to on a specific accessory, just let us know, man, and we'll make that video. Alright, starting off, this is the Glock 17 Generation 3 frame from SCT Manufacturing. It is called the SCT 17. Pretty cool little frame. They're about $90 assembled with the lower parts kit, plus your transfer fee at your local gun store. So, you know, about $120 frame. It's not too bad. We'll start with the Magwell. This is also an SCT Magwell. They're aluminum one. As I said in one of my other videos, I like these aluminum ones better. Excuse me. When you put them in, those plastic ones, right here when your finger's at, when you grip real hard, they tend to peel down like that. Not that far, but about right there, they peel down, especially on the 19 if your hand's big. So these metal ones are a little better with the screw. This one, I intentionally broke off a screw in it the other day. So there is a screw broken off. I'm going to make a video showing people how to extract them properly without fucking up your threads. If you do fuck up your threads, how to repair them before you go and have to buy a new magwell. So we're not going to be screwing this one in. We're just going to be setting it in. It's just a plug. See your plug hole. Set it in. Squeeze it real tight. Make sure it sits flush everywhere. Then you'll see your hole. That's where you're going to add your screw. For me, I blue Loctite just about everything on my guns. Just about. Not everything, just about. Shit moves. If you're one of those guys that really uses your guns, shoots 3,000 to 5,000 rounds a month, you know what I'm talking about. Shit wiggles out. That's why people make anti-walk pins and things like that, because they do start coming out. I've had it happen on magwells. Shooting a bunch, the screws in the back just came loose and magwell falls off during shooting. So that's why I use blue Loctite. And I usually torque spec or use a torque screwdriver to torque on the spec. You go by the manufacturing. I think this one was about 5 pound-inch. Don't overdo it or you'll snap them. Cool, so that one's there. We're going to be putting in another Timney Alpha competition trigger for a Glock Generation 3. A lot of people love Timney. A lot of people hate them. I like them. I've never had any real issues. Like everything else, once you start mixing parts together, you know, you're going to find kinks that you have to iron out. So Timney trigger comes with 2 reset trigger springs. Trigger return springs, reset springs, whatever you want to call them. This is the red one. This is the extra power one. It comes with the silver one, which is the standard power, standard return. This one's a little bit heavier. Johnny Glocks also makes a stronger one than both of these. For more of an OEM trigger return feel on the way back. That's one of the issues people have had. They said when it's returning after you pull your trigger and it returns, it's returning either not at all or it's just really slow and grimy. So they made different springs to try to help kick that back. In my experience, it depends on the frame. I just built an SCT 19. In that one, the return was grimy, so I put the Johnny Glocks one in. In OEM frames, I use the lightest one and I've never had an issue. One thing is though, you got to clean these triggers because sometimes they do feel like they get stuck. Like I said, if you shoot 3,000 to 5,000 rounds. So on here, you see there's that little hole. That's where your spring's going to go. If you face your trigger like this, hold your spring where it looks like an L. Just put it right here in the hole. And then put it on the spool. And there you go. So these do come assembled like I was saying if you want to. The trigger housing that comes in it is not OEM, I don't think. I think it's SCT's version. And I say that because the OEM part usually has the, you know, it's stamped OEM numbers inside there. With the Timney triggers, the ones that come with this, excuse me, I can't ever get the screws in there. So the Timney trigger comes with the sear assembly. I already put it in. They're a pain in the ass to get in sometimes, so I pre-assembled it. But see that red piece there? That's your sear assembly. Sorry for the glare. It'll be the color you choose when you pick the trigger. But all that does is slide right into there with the catch towards the back. So you slide it in, and then on this side here, there's the little set screw with a C washer right there. So what I do is just slide the sear assembly in, hold it, catch my first thread just barely with that screw, and then I come with needle nose and press the washer in and tighten it all the way up. On these, the trigger housings that come with this, there's like this little bar right here that doesn't allow you to go straight down onto the screw. Sorry, it's blurry, guys. Doesn't allow you to go straight down and actually tighten it. It's like at an angle like that, and it strips the screw out. And for anyone who's put Timney triggers in, they know they're fucking easy as shit to strip out. So we're going to be using a Ghost Ink 3.5 pound connector on this build. Other than it being 3.5 pounds, it is just called the Avenger connector. It has a cool shape, has the Avenger etched into it. I believe they made this for a specific set of law enforcement after some incident or something like that. You can look it up. This is a drop-in connector. I know a lot of people don't like fucking with connectors because it fucks up their trigger returns or just doesn't let the trigger work at all. That is true. Sometimes these things take a little bit of understanding. Even the drop-in ones. I'll explain that here in a minute. Ghost sells, what's it called? Angel 3.0, I think. It's one of my favorite ones, but you do have to file down these tabs right here. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to know the direction you're supposed to be going, and you're not going to get you're not going to establish your goal of what you're trying to do with your trigger. So the ones that are made to where you can manually adapt them and file them yourself, those are really more for people, competition, or just trying to get the most extremely light trigger pull possible. So for everyday carry people, this really doesn't matter. You can stick with OEM. There's not really a big difference, but if done right, it does, or it can take up to about a pound off your trigger pull. And I've actually got a video where I'll post, and I can show you that when I was testing with our digital meters on ones that had them in there and that didn't. It does change it close to a pound. So when you're putting these in your housing, you got to be careful. You see that little slot right there? That's where it goes. You set your backside, the L shape in there. When you push these down, push from the back, not the front. Right here where the strongest point is. Just push it down. You can use your finger, but get it down, make sure it sits all the way in. Why I say the back is, if you push at the top, you might bend it where it's no longer straight. It's like leaning down or backwards or whatever, right? That's where people mess up on these connectors. So if you see here, let me try to get it focused. This is the shelf of your connector, right? I mean, of your trigger housing. The connector protrudes out from it. You can see this is flush and this sticks out a little bit here. That's what you want. Some people, if they bend it wrong, they push this connector where it's in like this. Sorry, guys. They push it in where it's too far in. If it's too far in, it's not going to work. And the same thing for too far out. If you bend it too far out, it's going to cause issues. And let me show you. Because the way that works, right, here's your trigger bar. Right, here's your cruciform, is what that's called. Your trigger bar sits right on that, sorry guys, right on that angle of that connector. This little piece right here in the back, this ramp. It's at that angle for a reason, because when your trigger bar hits, it hits it and it pushes down. What that allows for your cruciform to push this down right here on the sear assembly. Once it pushes this down, it'll release your firing pin. Where's the firing pin? Dang, I realized I didn't even take them out. Let me show you that real quick, guys. Apologies. I have this still assembled. All right, guys. Sorry about that. So your firing pin has this little lug on it, right? That's what catches here. It's what sits right there on that shelf. And when you press that sear assembly down with your cruciform, it'll press it down, boom, firing pin takes off, hit your bullet, hit your primer. So your goal of this trigger bar is to push your connector right so the cruciform pushes down your sear assembly. That being said, if your connector is too far in, what's going to happen is your trigger bar, if you're looking at it this way, your trigger bar will literally pass it. It'll just go right past that angle grip like that. Like, see what I'm saying? How it overlapped it? It's not supposed to overlap. It's supposed to hit it and go down. So too far in makes it pass it. It's going to be hitting your back plate. Your trigger's not even going to return. You're not going to be able to get your slide off. You're going to have to take your back plate off to get the slide off. Too far out is going to do it. It's going to catch it, but it's not going to allow your cruciform to go far enough in to where it drops your sear assembly down like this, pressing it. So that's crucial. When you start fucking with aftermarket connectors and stuff, you really got to know how to put them, because even the drop-in ones still need to be angled right. They might come slightly bent out from the factory, right? So takes a little bit of understanding. So anyways, we're just going to set it in like that. Take your frame. This is where your trigger assembly goes. Hold them together. Drop that bad boy right in there. It'll naturally fit in, keep together. And there you go. Let's go ahead and put our pins in, then we'll move on to the mag release and all that. First pin is your trigger housing pin. Goes right here in the back. Holds down the trigger housing. These pins don't usually need to be beat in. Maybe on some guns, but most of them don't, so just be careful. I'm just taking another punch and pushing it in. You'll hear it set proper, and you're good to go. Next one, we will do our trigger block first. So this is your block. It's what sets right in, but the rail's facing forward like that. Boom. Right where you see these two holes, that's where this hole lines up. So just set it in there at first. Don't push it all the way down. You got to make sure your spring's on the right side. When you use a Timney trigger, it comes with that extra spring that's normally not there. So there's your red spring. The spring just needs to be sitting on this side before you press your block down. So you can see the springs right there, right? This little piece hanging. Just pull it forward, hit it from the back. That's what she said. There we go. Get my little screwdriver. Move that spring over. Cool. Now that we got our block in, we can go ahead and add our slide stop, or slide lock, I'm sorry, and then we'll add the trigger pin in. So Generation 3s come with this spring here. So now you're going to have two springs sitting side by side. Before we do that, let me show you. Strike Industries makes this really cool trigger pin, locking pin. It has these little indentions. Each one can sit in one of those little notches there. That's super cool that they thought about that, because on Timney triggers and Generation 3 specifically, like I said, dang, excuse me guys, you'll have, once you set it in there, right, there's only one way to set this in here. Once you set it in there, you're now going to see you got two springs competing for the same space right here. And they're like right on top of each other, right? So a lot of times when you open your guns up, those springs will actually cross. And every time, you know, you're doing your trigger, it just feels real grimy. You'll feel it rubbing. Worst case scenario, you're gonna bend your springs, right? They're gonna be bent out of shape. You'll need to replace them. In the event that you do bend these springs, I see a lot of people go and buy a new slide lock. What the fuck? That's not necessary. These springs can be changed. If you can see that, they have that little clip. You just buy the new spring. A lot of times you don't even have to unclip it. You can just pull it out, hook the new one in. Boom. So let's go ahead and set that in there. Before you set your main pin in, just look down your holes here and make sure that they're lined up. You're gonna have to hold your trigger, maybe your slide lock. What? What the fuck? All in place just to get it lined up. One quick thing you can do is take a punch, especially if you have one that exact size, stick it in there, kind of ream it out, let it line up all your holes correctly. Like I said, these pins, you don't have to fight them in, especially this one. It goes in really easy, like super easy, if you just make sure things are lined up. You don't even have to push hard. There you go. Still take your punch, make sure it's seated fully. We're good. Now for this bad boy here. On this one, make sure your notches are on the left side where those springs are. And then put this one in from left to right. That way you don't have to, if you put it in from right to left, that red spring is going to have to catch both notches before it gets in its position. This way just makes it a little easier. Same thing with the locking block. You got to push your springs down because they need to be underneath this pin. You can see the pins there. Those springs literally sit right here underneath it. So you got to make sure before you press it in, just push your springs down, both of them. There we go. Now, once you push that all the way in, you should hear those springs lock. If not, we'll set them in place. There we go. All right, see if I can let you see that. So you just want to move them in their respective places. Dang, that was harder to get over there. There we go. That's pretty cool. So all it does is separate them where they stay in their own lane instead of rubbing on each other, causing unnecessary friction. All right, next we'll put in the slide lock by KRISS Armory. All of our extended controls today, are KRISS Armory. If you haven't heard of them, they're a pretty cool little company. Got a bunch of options for Glocks and some SIGs. So this is an extended slide stop.
What the fuck? Shit. God damn it.
All it is a little bit longer, wider than OEM, and the texture is just a little bit more aggressive. These are easy to remember in which way they face. That little notch you can see right there in the middle that's cut out right here always faces down, you know, when you're holding your gun this way. That's where the spring sits, the spring that holds its retention. And I'll show you a cool little thing if you didn't know. This is the spring. When I took it out, I bent it. This happens often when you're changing these out. Cool thing about this, a lot of people don't know, is that your plunger, your safety plunger, shares the exact same spring. So if you ever mess your slide lock one up, slide stop, you can always see if you have one of these laying around. If not, you can purchase one because they're the same spring. Unless you're using a reduced pound one like I am, they're slightly skinnier. So I wouldn't use a reduced one. Don't want your slide flying off. See, that's the difference between an OEM and the reduced pound one. All right, let me show you a little trick to put these in without bending that spring. Get you something real small like this. This is actually a magazine catch spring. your magazine catch spring is that right there. That spring, let me see if I can get you in there. Right inside there. That is the spring responsible for your mag release button. I was going to change it out to this one. On these SCT frames, the mag buttons are pretty stiff. So there's a company called rockyourglock.com, and they sell magazine catch springs that are reduced poundage. So they're basically a little bit thinner and more flexible and slightly shorter. But like I just said, they're thinner, the diameter is a little bit smaller. So on this frame, when I took that one out, this one just slid in and did not secure. It was just real loose. So I'm just going to leave the stock one that it came with. But get you something small like this. Show you how to do this real simple. Grab your spring, right? There's your hole right there. It's a perfect circle. That's where your spring goes. Just set it down in there, down under. For me, I'm going to work from the left. Like I said, that little notch always goes down. What I mean by notch is this notch here is what faces down, so the spring catches. But this notch, there's only one notch. The other side is just flat, you see? So the side that has the notch needs to face you and face up. Face you if you're holding your gun this way, so it's facing me. And that's how it goes in. A quick little way, just set it in there. Right? Just set it right up against the spring, as you can see. See, it just sets right in there. Just hold it for a second. Take you something small. You're gonna, excuse me guys. You're gonna come from this side here. What you're gonna do is just basically go in there, get on top of that spring and hold it down with this one. A lot of times people try to press it from the top, which I used to do, but you'll still bend this spring trying to push this lock in there. So, you see my spring here, right? Just go right on top and press that bad boy down. Once you got it down, this thing will slide right in. Boom. Just like that. Just like that. Cool deal. All right, let's get this mag release in. Normally, you'd have to take that spring out to slide these in, but this one actually fits perfect. This is a Generation 3, so it has a big hole on one side, small on the other. These are not ambidextrous, so you can only go one way. Insert the small side through the big hole, facing like this, just like you're going to put it in. Like she said. You'll see if you angle it right, it'll actually slide right behind that spring. See? Boom. And on this, there's the little notches. Sorry, I guess I could show you real quick. See this little notch right here? That little notch is where that mag catch spring sits. It starts here and you got to push it over and lock it in place. So again, push that in. Hold it on this side. Take you something small. And just push it over. You'll hear it click in. Boom. Let's get the firing pin assembly put together. Let's bring all them little parts out here. All right, got some cool pieces here. These are all stainless steel parts. If you build Glocks, you know all these are plastic normally, but these are stainless steel ones from a company called moonduck.net, or Moonduck, but moonduck.net is their website. So, sorry guys, my throat's real itchy. I never heard of them before until like 6 months ago, just randomly searching up parts, came across it. They're kind of like Rock Your Glock. They have some really unique products for Glocks that I've never seen before, so go check it out. Go check them out, see what you can find. I'm sure you'll find something. This is your firing pin sleeve. This is your firing pin channel liner. And these are your D-cups, stainless steel. This is just an OEM firing pin, Generation 3. They are different between the 3, 4, and 5, so make sure you get the right one. And this is a 4.5 pound striker spring by IronKells Armory. We do make a lot of our own springs. Not for every make and model, but for the main ones, for the ones that count. Pretty straightforward. Get your firing pin sleeve. Slide that in first. Notch goes in there. Put your spring on. And I usually just do this with my hands, but there are tools out there you can use if you need them. Tools like this, but this is for a guide rod. You can slide these in and just press this part down on the table, and it will depress your spring for you. So you don't have to hold all the tension yourself. But if you're not a little bitch, I'm not a little bitch, I swear. Pull it down like a big man. And then hold it there. Get your D cups. These remind me of like little Mario tunnels. If you put them together, they look like Mario tunnels. Gay.
Act. Ha! Gay!
Small side faces down, so my freaking gloves are getting in the way. Just get your small side. Just sit it right on there. Boom. Got one side in. Freaking gloves. Get your second one. An easy way is, look, just set it on here, on the top right here, and then just get it ready to slide down while you pull that spring down. You can even use the cup itself to push the spring down and set it in place. There we go. Cool deal. One thing I have noticed before, believe it or not, the D cups where they sit together, you'll see a little seam right here. Don't know if you can see that. If you leave them spaced apart even a little bit, I've seen them cause issues with the firing pin releasing proper, so make sure you do that. This is your channel liner. You can put it on now, or you can put it on, just put it in first. It doesn't really matter. Slide it in there. Firing pin with your lug facing up. Slide that in. Do not press it all the way down. Before you get you got to put your extractor and your plunger in before you seat your firing pin and this plunger all the way down, or it won't allow you to seat your safety plunger in. Excuse me, man. All right, here's your plunger. Metal side goes down. You see one side's plastic, one side's metal. Metal towards the barrel. Again, don't push it all the way in. Just kind of set it right there. For your plunger, you know, pretty simple. Has a hole in it. Put your spring in it. Turn your slide sideways. It's a little easier so your spring doesn't fall out. Slide your plunger in. Your plumber in.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Get your extractor. One side of an extractor has a little circle piece on it, the round piece. There's only one way this can go, and it is this way. Set it in there nice and neat. And then you're gonna press your plunger down. If you don't, it won't lock them in place. There you go. They won't fall out once they're locked in place. Now you can push everything down. That plunger being locked, super crucial. One time I built a Glock 34 a few months ago. I was shooting at the range, had already went through like 5,000 rounds, cleaned it after that, and then put it together. Didn't lock it in place, but it stayed. You know, I thought it looked like it was like this locked. Went to shoot at the range. In the middle of shooting, I went to drop my mag, open it up. Here comes my safety plunger and spring falling right out. I was like, what the fuck? And I just didn't lock it in place. Surprised that it was even running right. All right, let's get that back plate. I have two back plates here. One from Zaffiri Precision. I was going to put them on. I had this one laying around. This one is a full brass one that I painted silver from NDZ. Both of these companies make awesome products for Glocks and other brands. But this is full brass, just 3D. So it's a little heavier, gives you a little bit more mass, slide mass, which isn't really, you know, too important, but pretty cool. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna use this one on the next build I have coming up. These are pretty simple. Hold your slide like that. Just kind of set it in there, put your thumb there. Grab you something to press down your firing pin channel first. It's gonna go in halfway. Next is your plastic head on the plunger. Then you'll hear it all click in. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to use that. I don't like how the colors... I still needed to paint this and clear coat it with some Cerakote clear. Throw it in the oven. So it doesn't really have its shine and matches the slide. So until then, I'll put this one in. This one's the same polish, so it matches. Cool. There we go. All right. What I was saying about Cross Armory, this is the Cross Armory Generation 3, Glock Generation 3 Legion slide. They have some cool products if you go check their website out. They're one of my main vendors that I use for a lot of builds. And they make really good products. The only complaint that I have is the quality on the finish. So a lot of their products, I've had their plating chip off or just be completely rusted in between spots. This one actually has a little bit right here. Their pins are not, there's anodizing, right? Anodizing is one thing to do, but when you paint parts that are used often, taken down often, paint's not the best thing unless you're using something like Cerakote, because it's just, it's gonna come off, and that's one of their things. Their stuff comes off almost right away on their pins and their mag releases and stuff like that. But outside that, some of these slides I've been receiving recently, you can see all their tooling mark all in here. I'm gonna try to get it close and get the glare off. You'll see a bunch of spirals, and that's their tooling marks, the CNC that's cutting all this stuff out. So that is what I mean by quality finish. Usually after it's plated or painted, you don't see all that, but I don't know. On these you do. So I don't know if you can see right here. It's real bad right there. It's like a bunch of little circles. And that goes for every little rivet you see. It's in between everything on this whole slide here, all on the top. But it really doesn't look bad. Like, it doesn't look like shitty work. It just looks textured, really. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe that's intentional. I don't think it is, because it like fades in certain places. But other than that, though, I'm not by any means complaining about Cross Armory. I use them for a lot of stuff. Great company, great parts. Never had an issue. Everything works fine. I had more issues with Tyrant CNC parts on some Glock builds than I did Cross Armory, and Tyrant is a much more well-known company who has really great quality in their products as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and add this on. This here is a mini band by Strike Industries. Strike Industries is one of my favorite companies. They make some unique products for a bunch of things, and that's just really dope. Like, their whole business is based around unique things. It's not just standard shit, right? So they got a bunch of cool stuff. This is one of them. This is a mini band, and then they sell larger ones. The larger ones are for, let me see. Like, I got this build coming up soon.
Oh, I'm touching myself tonight.
The larger ones, once you put a flashlight and all this shit on it, got your cords, those larger ones you can put around to band everything down. I prefer to use them as grip. As you can see, they have a little notch in it right there, just like grips do, that fit in between your fingers. So I like to put them on grips of pistols and rifles, or sometimes even the mags. Put them here, give you a little grip when you hit your mag down or whatever. So super useful. This one we're going to be using has a little notch right here on the front. They're pretty easy. I will say, once you try to get it your first time, because you're going to have to use a tool to get your finger in there. See how I got my fingers in the first time? Just keep them in until you situate it where you need it. depending on your grip and how you like your feel, you know, it's all personal preference. So it looks a little high. I'm going to try to fit it in between my pinky and my ring finger, a little bit high. Try not to scratch a frame. Nothing a little Cerakote or hydro dipping can't fix. Okay. Cool. That works for me. Yeah. All right, let's finish putting this slide together. Got a Zaffiri Precision fluted barrel. Pretty dope. I'm not fluted, I'm sorry, it's a flush and crown barrel. Like I said, Zaffiri has a bunch of dope parts. You can get full build stuff on there. Barrel pretty simple. Your locking lugs face up, technically down if you're holding your gun upright. Just slide your barrel in. Ooh. There we go. Keep it like this. Next, we'll do the Strike Industries Mass Driver Comp. So these are all the parts it comes with. This is a compensator that doesn't require a threaded barrel. That's why we went with this. I was helping a customer pick out what he wanted, and this is what we decided to go with since we didn't want to purchase a separate barrel besides the one we had laying around. So you'll see here it says standard. That's because Strike Industries makes ones for standard link and then compact linked. Just a way for you to recognize which one's which. If you own them both, so you don't get them in mixed up. This is pretty simple. This guide rod is flat on two sides and round on the other sides. Don't know if you can see that right there. These are the flat sides. Turning sideways, these are round. So it has to face flat to go in because it comes with an adapter. And that hole is that exact shape. It's not round. It's like that weird flat on two sides, round on the other. So it has to go right. First, put your adapter in. You see one side's flat. That goes down on the barrel. Just like so. Try not to let it fall out. Take your guide rod, your spring. This is a 13-pound spring that it comes with. Just to give some quick tips. I can make a whole nother video on this so you guys can pick my brain about it. But once you start getting into builds with compensators and fucking with firing pin springs and Timney triggers and things like that, that's where people start getting a lot of malfunctions because, you know, you're throwing in a bunch of parts that aren't made together. You're going to have to work out the kinks. So when it comes to compensators, this is considered a large one because it has multiple ports all over it. It's going to vent a lot of gas. And to keep it simple and not take up too much time, how does that work, right? Let's just say normally your slide is full of 100% gas or pressure, however you want to label it. So when you shoot a bullet, all that pressure is what gives your slide the energy to rack back, come back forward, and load the next round, right? Now you add your compensator. Now you're down to just, for example, 80% gas, because this is venting 20% off. That's where your 20% recoil reduction comes in, or 30% or 40%, whatever a lot of these companies claim, right? So now you no longer have all that gas. What does that mean? That means your slide is not going to be kicking back as hard or as far as it was before. That's why you lighten up your springs. Instead of having a 17-pound or 15-pound OEM, I think 17-pound on Glock 17s and it's 15 on Glock 19s. Could be wrong. Might be 17 on both. You want to lighten this up so it's easier to press, so your slide goes back easier because now you need less friction, less fight for your slide, right? At the same time, that comes with your ammo. When you start doing stuff like this, you're likely not going to be able to shoot 115 grain of most types of ammo. So we're going to run a 13-pound spring. If it doesn't run proper or I don't like it, I'm going to go down to an 11-pound spring. This is Strike Industry springs. but IronKells does make our own springs, like I was saying. We make guide rod springs, trigger return springs, reduced power springs, plunger springs, striker springs, pretty much all the springs for Glocks for most models, and a few other ones. And if you're really trying to do a custom build and you can't find springs for like a SIG or a 2011, we can make them for you. So put your spring in. I like to face it like this. If your fingers and hands are strong enough, you can do it one-handed. I think right now I'll try one-handed. See if I can keep my fingers out the way. Maybe, maybe not. Kind of do it like a shot like that. And then try to keep it straight. Like I said, it's a weird shape. There we go. Cool. Once you seat that, make sure it's sitting on the second level, second notch, not the first one. There's two notches on your lugs here. See, there's a shelf there and then the second shelf. Shelf, notch, whatever you want to call it. Cool. Now, just slide it on there. Just like so. Get a little closer. There's a hole. Slide it on. Put your spring in. Put your end cap. Grab your Allen head. Tighten it down. So I'm actually going to disassemble this gun to show a customer something. So I'm not going to Loctite it and torque it, but normally I would Loctite this with blue Loctite, blue 242. And I'll look up the specs to torque it when I'm ready. So, but there she blows. Looks pretty nice. All right, let's get this optic on first, and then we'll put it all together. So this here is a Viridian RFX-35. This is a green dot. I love Viridian optics. They make some really cool stuff. I like the green dot.
I like it a lot.
Just feels better than red. I wonder if someone makes a blue dot. I would like to see a blue dot, but maybe it's not effective in daylight or something. I did just pick up a gold dot from Hollison for that Deadpool AR-15 pistol I'm building. I'm going to put an offset on there. So these come with a Picatinny rail attachment. We're going to take that off. A lot of times when you take these off, there's no plate below it. So you don't necessarily need a plate for where your battery sits. I prefer it. And I'll show you what I mean. See, so when you take this Picatinny rail adapter off, it's just an exposed battery. So I like to put plates down. A few different companies sell them, C&H or Trigicon. This is a Trigicon RMR plate. It's just a thin little plate that you can set down that helps your battery not sit on bare metal or be exposed on the slide. So just simple, just sit it in there like so. Grab your optic. Make sure when you're putting screws that you know for sure you're the right length. You don't want your screws protruding down into your freaking plunger or firing pin assembly. So, like I said, I'm going to break this apart. So I'm not going to go ahead and Loctite it all up, but this does have a little blue Loctite on it. Put you a dab. Go ahead and knock them in. Don't tighten either side. Just make sure it sits flush. Get your other one put in. Once they're both sitting flush, then you can tighten. I'm just going to hand tighten for now. If I was going to tighten this, I would go to 12 to 15 inch pound. If you watched my last video on that FDE, the tan looking Glock build, I explained a little bit more in there. There was a dude in my comment section, you know, talking about, oh, you're fucking up, you're doing this, you're tightening it wrong, blah, 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 because I went to 15 inch pound. And we went back and forth, and he's a fucking idiot, like I said. So there's different things, right? Your optic, the manufacturing for this, Viridian says to torque it to 15 inch-pound. If you have lugs on your slide, those also have a spec. And for example, some lugs are 7 inch-pound. But then you also have a spec for the screw you use. If you're using a 632 screw like I'm using, those can be torqued or need to be torqued to 12 to 15 inch. So if you have 3 different torque specs, usually you're going to want to go with the lowest one, right? So you don't snap anything. But that's not always true. As you see in my last video, I had Zev prongs on the slide from I think it was a Zaffiri precision slide. Those call for 7 inch-pound torque. Here's my torque screwdriver. I torqued it to 7 inch-pound. Holy shit, it's not even hand tight. Like, there's no way. That's why I always go to 15. So even when you're just doing this right here, hand tight, nothing crazy, you're still getting usually, 10 to 15 inch-pound torque just getting hand tight. So we're just going to keep it like that. There she goes. Looks pretty. Let's slide this together. Looking nice. It's freaking shiny, so these lights are just beaming off of it. I even have diffusers on all my lights, and it still, reflects a lot. But she's pretty. All right, one of the last pieces we got is the Streamlight TLR-1 HL-X. I chose this one so it's a little bit longer, and I actually think I might put this on that AR pistol build I'm doing, or I have another one of these I'm about to do. I might put it on there because I want the flashlight to sit more flush with that barrel, and this one is slightly too short for what I like. These are pretty cool. They have a little button here that opens your lever that allows you to break it open, right? You press your button, slide your lever up, boom. Get your batteries in. And then this is your quick attach button that kind of presses it out, as you can see, to help you attach to the rail. So there's different connections these come with. I'll show you this one. Get my little T-Rex tool. You got to take this screw out here, and it's going to allow you to change out the adapter depending on the rail you have. So this is a 1913 rail. This is actually the number 2 option. These come with 2 1913 rail types and some Glock options. They're just, like I said, different lengths. One's shorter than the other. What it does is allow this notch here, the one I lined up at the top, to set closer or further so you can line it up, and I'll show you what I mean. So the Glock one works for this, but I'm going to show you another one just so you can see. Sorry, that's backwards. Okay. So you see how it's in there like that? That notch is at the front, right? But if I was to put this one in, it's going to make the notch closer to the center. And then it's closer and closer, and so on and so on with the shorter ones. You can tell which one you need by just kind of setting it up there. And wherever you see that notch is, right? The notch I'm talking about is this top piece right here. It needs to sit in between one of your rail notches that's cut out. So if you hold it all the way back against the trigger, you can see that one is not going to work. It's like sitting not in between, but it's sitting right on the rail. So you'll need to see which one fits yours. I know the one that fits is this Glock one. So we'll go ahead and drop that in. Get your screw back in. Kind of get it started. All right, let's go ahead and put the batteries in. Remember, just press this button up here. Move your lever up. Break it open. Right side says negative up. Left side says positive up. Just confirm it works. I had a guy the other day comment on one of my Instagram videos of a build complaining about, why would you put the light at the camera like that? Blind us through the camera. Blah, 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 blah. All I heard was I'm a bitch. So for that petty guy, here is 10 straight minutes of strobe light. All right, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go that long. Fuck you, asshole. People are petty, dude. You're gonna hear me talk a lot of shit. I didn't start a company to abide by petty people. I started it so I could be fucking free to choose who I do business with and how I do business. You know, we're from the West Texas oil fields over here, so if any of you guys are over here, you know people suck, man. Company men, rig managers, they all treat people like shit in the field. So me and my older brother run an oil field company as well as this one. And yeah, I promised when I started a company I wouldn't take nobody's shit, but I'd also treat people with respect and not, you know, treat my workers and shit like that like an asshole.
Shut the fuck up!
So press your button in. Just gonna open up. Find that rail. Boom. Once you get it set in where you want it, tighten that bad boy in. And there she blows, you motherfucker. She's beautiful. Sorry, I will figure out how to fix this fucking glare. Not a professional cameraman. All right, let's just go finish this extended mag and we're done. I didn't want to tear this one back down. This is a Armory plus 5 mag extension for Glock 17. That matters when you're picking mag extensions. I've seen a lot of people come and they're saying, "Hey, my guns fell in the feed." When I open their magazine up, they still have the OEM spring, the you know, your mag spring. They still have the OEM short one. When you get a plus 5, they usually come with an extended mag because you need more pressure to feed those rounds. So super important when you're buying from websites. Not a lot of people have great descriptions. Make sure you're buying the right one. I didn't want to tear this apart. Anyone who freaking does a lot of these mag extensions know they eat the shit out of these ears up on the Glocks. After a few times, that mag's useless. It won't even, you know, hold these on. There's a lot of brands out here that have better attachments that don't sit on the dovetail ears, but these do. So that's one mag. Oh, I actually forgot. Let me back up just slightly. These little parts went missing. These are your little locks for your Streamlight. Right, one's just a backup. What that's for is that screw right there. It's a little C washer lock. All you do is slide that in, press it in there with a flat screwdriver, and it doesn't allow your pin to rotate out the screw. So, like I said, I'm going to be breaking this back down, so I'm not going to put them in. Here's a cool little tool from Real Avid. There's a bunch of them out there. This actually isn't even my favorite one. I think my favorite one's in the shop, so I don't have it, but my favorite one just looks like a little L shape, like a hook. You just hang on to it, boom. Sometimes Glock mags can be a pain in the ass to pop off, so these tools help. This one's cool. You can use this front side here, this prong, or the top one. So you can set a mag in it like this, and it has a little lip right here, you see? So it stops it, and basically hold it like that, and hit it back, bam. Or you can use the front one to kind of use it as a pull, like a prong, and pull it off, boom, see? Don't let your spring fly. And this is what I'm talking about. You see how short that spring is? If I was to take this one out, this spring is going to be about 2-3 inches longer. So make sure you know what you're doing. All right, take your follower off. Just unclips. Take your new one. This is easy. It really only goes on one way. You'll know when it's backwards, and I'll show you. You'll be like, what the fuck? Look at that. See how it sits all funky angled? That ain't right. That ain't going to slide in anywhere. See what I'm saying? Your spring would get stuck. So, you know you have it backwards. Turn your spring over. Just flip it right over. Boom. This spring and these two are the KRISS USA 20 plus 23 round mag extension. Gives you a total of 40 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. They're really cool. All you do is take an OEM Glock mag. You can buy them with just these 3 pieces, or they come together with the mag. Just slide your factory magazine in like that. Take your spring and follower like that. Take the end base plate and just slide it all the way up. Boom. Isn't she beautiful? This is going to be something cool to shoot. What we built this for was obviously how it looks. But let me show you one more part. Let me give you, that's more of the small version. Looks clean. I like it. It probably doesn't do you guys justice on camera, but in person it looks real shiny. Black on silver looks real good. What we got coming for this is this. This is from Advanced Reset Technology. If you don't know who they are, go check them out. Oh, there that is. Had this Leopold red dot. I didn't know where I put it, but there it is. A little off topic, but this is, I believe, the world's smallest red dot, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that little window. Really cool. This one's for a Glock 19. This here is an Advanced Reset Technology trigger. ART, go look them up. AdvancedResetTechnology.com. They're under the same name on Instagram, Facebook, things like that. They make triggers that go. These are really fucking dope. And we got this one just for this build. First, we're going to take it out, shoot it, make sure we got the ammo figured out, the springs, you know, all that good shit going. And then we're going to come back, we'll make another video for this, and we're going to drop this bad boy in. And this trigger does need a little bit of filing around these edges, so we're going to have to work the kinks out. We'll do that in a video, and then we'll make another one shooting it. Seeing what this bad boy looks like. Alright guys, that's the full build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, any critique, things we can do better, parts we should be using, anything y'all want to see, let us know. Comment below, message us. If you need help on your own builds, you know, we pride ourselves in being helpful. Go check out the website. We've got all these parts on our website. Not everything's in stock, you know, we get what we can when we can, but for the most part, everything's there. If there's something on the site that we don't have that you'd like to see, let us know. It's no problem for us to go find it, source it, and add it to it. On the websites, go check out the Forge files. Like I was saying earlier, that's where we put a lot of knowledge. There's already a lot of answers to a lot of people's questions in there. So it's all free knowledge that we give away. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. We appreciate you for watching. And as usual, don't be a bitch.